John?
The question is, did someone find the 3.5-hour version of the film in Kharkiv, and whether there will be the possibility of publishing the behind the scenes?
Which film are you talking about?
The Blues Brothers, the film, the first one.
He's asking if there's a longer version.
There is no 3.5 hours version.
No?
No. It was longer.
4 hours.
No, never. The movie as you see it now, it was 30 minutes, 35 minutes longer. It had an intermission and was meant to be a road show on 70
In
minutes.
Italy, Plus Reclam is 3 hours.
What is 3 hours?
With Reclam.
The publicity.
With reclam.
In TV, with publicity, reclam.
Oh, with
The
ads.
publicity.
The commercial.
Okay, commercial is 3 hours, near 3 hours.
The same way they cut it with.
I understand, but that's not the length of the movie.
It's great.
What's the question?
If there's the possibility to have the cutting scenes in a
Wants to know if there are scenes
in
that
the
What
next
happened?
next version. Maybe.
There is a version now you can buy that I wouldn't let them call the director's cut. That's called the expanded version. And that just came out on Blu-ray, HD, 4K. I restored the film. But what happened is a terrible story, but what happened was we made the movie. It's hard now to understand how outré the movie was. In 1969, I'm sorry, when was it, 69?
70.
No, 80, you mean 80. 1979, thank you very much. In 1979, when we made the movie, it came out in 1980.
Oh, okay.
The music of the world was disco. Blues and rhythm and blues, you couldn't find it. And people like James Brown were playing second-rate theaters. Even Aretha was not selling. Motown was not. I mean, it was all the biggest acts in the world were ABBA and the Bee Gees. And so when we proposed to make this movie, because Dan Aykroyd and John wanted to exploit their own celebrity to showcase this music and these great artists, you know, the studio thought we were nuts. And coming off the strength of Animal House, it was interesting. John and Danny were the stars of the biggest TV show in the country. John was the star of the biggest movie in the world at that time, at that moment. We had made the first album, which went double platinum. So they had the biggest record, the biggest movie, I mean, you know, the biggest TV.
Thank you so much.
No, but they let us.
I have a tribute band. I sing as a...
You're a blues. Okay. Well, what's interesting is so we made the movie, and the first thing that happened was Universal Studios has big music company, Universal Music, MCA, Decca Records. They did not want the soundtrack record. They said, "Who's going to buy this?"
Everyone.
No one's going to buy this. They refused it. So we end up making a deal with Atlantic, a race label. And with Atlantic, I had a screaming fight with the legendary Ahmet Ertegun because he absolutely refused to put John Lee Hooker on the album. He said to me, he's too old, he's too black.
Crazy.
Well, it was very gratifying when John Lee Hooker's next album went platinum. So the whole thing was successful. But then we had a second problem, which was the exhibitors, who are the theater owners. You have exhibitor screenings, and they decide if they're going to book the movie. That doesn't work like that anymore. But then they had a lot of power. And they all decided no white people were going to see this movie. And I said, Princess Leia's in it, you know? Like, what do you mean no white people are going to see the movie? And they really thought that it was for black people. And it was like, what the fuck? In any case, an average big release for Universal was 2,000 theaters. at that time. We opened at 600. It was very scary. And luckily, people went to see it. It turned out to be a big success. But it was, so what happened was the studio told me, take 30 minutes out of it. And the reason they wanted that was so that to make it more attractive to the theaters, they could get an extra show a day. So we just made all these lifts in a panic. The movie was finished, cut negative, big lifts. And then I had a preview of it at the Pickwood Theater in LA, which is no longer there. And then I cut another 15 minutes out of it to make it the length it is now. So it was about 40 minutes longer and a much better movie. Now it's kind of off balance and it's kind of, but the irony is about 12, 15 years ago, the FBI contacts Universal Studios and says, we have a 70mm print of the Blues Brothers. What? And Universal went, what? Because they'd only made one. What is it? Turns out, the manager of the Pickwood, where we had the preview, stole the print. It's now 20-some years later, more than, it's like 28 years later, and he dies. And his son is cleaning out the garage and finds these Goldberg cans, Blues Brothers, 70, and he puts it on eBay. And the FBI went, what the fuck is that? And so we got that print back. Now remember, it had only been screened once, and it was in excellent condition. In because they wanted me to restore the movie to make a director's cut for home video. You have to realize that director's cuts, as fun as they are, they usually fuck up the movie. I mean, there's only one I've seen that Ridley's Blade Runner is actually shorter than the theatrical release. I mean, it is better, but nothing else I've ever seen is better. It's always not as good as what was released. Anyway, but they can sell you the same shit again. So they asked me to do that, and I was happy to do it because there's 2 songs, there's all kinds of stuff in there. We discovered they threw out all the outs and trims and negative in 1985. So it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Now comes this print. Oh my goodness! So we look at the print, and the print is of the one I had cut 30 minutes of, but has 15 minutes that nobody saw. So they duped the print, and now because of digital technology, you can buy it, the DVD or the Blu-ray, make sure it says 4K HD expanded version. And then we even remixed it, and I mean really got the tracks, did a big number, and you can see all this stuff that I don't have any idea why we cut it out. Because it's all funny. And it's all, John Lee Hooker's number is longer, James Brown's number is longer. And do you remember when they get gas, and there's no gas, and the truck comes? All this time is spent in the movie showing the gas spilling on the floor, and all, and then he says, come on, we gotta go, and they leave. Well, what we shot was they leave, but Jake throws a cigarette out the window, and the entire gas station and the truck blows up. It was huge. And we cut it out. So now it's back. Now you can see it.
John, can you write for me? Is this?
Un attimo.
Not now.